You're listening to Big World Network.
Phineas Frakture and the Dolomites, Episode 9. Written by Joseph Gatch. Read by Michael Young. Phineas pounded on the cover of William's tube, and used every tool in his belt, but nothing worked. The canister must have had a vacuum seal on it, preventing it from opening unless the subject inside had fully matured into a Dolomite. He heard the whine of the pistol he had given Abigail in a wholly, expletive, as she steadied herself from the recoil. Again and again the pistol whined. "They are not vomiting!" Abigail shouted, indicating the response the pistol was supposed to produce. "They're still coming!" Phineas tossed her the discombobulator rifle. "Try the bigger one. It might have more effect on them. Just steady it into your shoulder and brace yourself." He slid down the tube and picked up a large stone. With as much force as he could muster, he banged it against the glass tube again and again. "Real scientific," said Abigail. "You're not helping," replied Phineas, as the rifle sent Abigail back a few steps. Her target staggered back just as many steps, but quickly recovered. Further down the rows, one of the tubes shattered, sending the blue fluid and the enclosed dolomite spilling across the ground. Phineas quickly picked up on the incident, and told Abigail to turn the rifle on the tube holding William. The whine was terrible on the receiving end, as Phineas was caught in the periphery. He stumbled back and retched as the glass shattered, and his boots were submerged in the viscous fluid. Shaking his head, knowing that he couldn't take time to recover, Phineas staggered over to where William lay bleeding from a few shards of glass embedded in his shoulder. Phineas slapped William's face several times to wake him up, but to no avail. He noticed that the man wasn't breathing, and hefted him up onto his shoulder to get the liquid out of his lungs. More whines came from the discombobulator, as Abigail unleashed salvos against the approaching horde. Suddenly, William gasped mightily for air, and in a panic of not knowing what was going on, began pounding on Phineas's legs, trying to regain his freedom. "Would you settle down, William? We're trying to rescue you. Stop that!" "Phineas, what the devil are you doing here? The last time I saw you was outside the theatre." "As I was trying to tell you, this is a rescue. Now shut up and tell me if you can walk." "Are those things here?" asked William. "What do you think we're rescuing you from, you dolt?" "No, I can't walk. I can run. Now put me down." "Abigail!" shouted Phineas. "What?" she shouted back between shots. "Quit playing and come on. William is able to move." She quickly joined them, and her expression changed to one of amusement as she spied William's naked body. Suddenly aware of the lack of attire, he covered up his privates in embarrassment. "Nothing I haven't seen before," she smirked as both men looked at her oddly. "Oh, I have brothers, you idiots," she added sharply. She tore off the bottom half of her dress to give to William. "Cover up now." William gladly tied the makeshift kilt around his waist, and they began their escape. "How long was I in there?" William asked as they ran. "Not more than 5 hours," Phineas said as he looked at his pocket watch. "Really? It seems like I was in there for an eternity." "You would look a whole lot prettier if you had been." "Will you two stop it?" said Abigail. "Did you find what you needed, Finn?" "Everything. Let's get out of here fast." It was a long run back to the entrance, due to both William's bare feet being cut up by loose stones and the appearance of dolomites at practically every turn. Finally, they made it back to the stairwell. A few steps up, Abigail realized that Phineas had stopped at the bottom. "What is it? Come on, hurry!" Phineas continued to hesitate. "I have to stay." "What? We have to keep going." "I saw their plans, Abigail. I know what will happen if this doesn't end here and now. If they get out again—" "We know where they are now. The army can come and deal with them. You don't have to do this." "Yes, I do, and no, they won't. Trust me on this. Who is better at breaking things than I am? And besides, I have schematics. You two get back up to the streets. Tell a constable what happened. Tell them to prepare if I don't succeed." "But—" "Go!" Phineas shouted. Then suddenly he added, "Wait!" and bounded up the stairs. He took Abigail's face in his hands and kissed her. "Just so I don't die wondering," he said as he hurried back down. Abigail stood in amazement, and William looked confused, waggling his finger between the two of them. "Wait a moment. You mean that you two have never... Oh, for the love of heaven, you two are impossible! Go blow something up. You've probably been dying to do that all night. Come on, Abigail. I need to get some dry clothes." The two of them made their way up the stairs as they heard Phineas shout, "And watch out for the sewer kraken!" William looked back at him, and then at Abigail. "He's joking, isn't he?" Phineas ran as fast as he could. Suddenly, renewed strength coursed through his body, and he began whooping and yelling to draw the Dolanites away from the entrance. It didn't take long for them to take notice, for it seemed that they began pouring out of every nook and every corner of the cavern. At one point he looked back and tried to count their numbers. He gave up after 70. Beyond the incubating tubes and what looked like a type of living area for the Dolanites, Phineas found what he was looking for. Gigantic Tesla coils reached past the mist, their electrical arcs crackling above. The hum of machinery was louder here, and he finally spied the main generator that serviced the entire complex. Then he noticed something else. The ground seemed to tremor beneath him. At first he feared that it might be another untimely earthquake, but then, turning, he found that it was much worse than that. Slowly approaching, the entire Dolonite army was heading his way with only one thing on their simple minds: stop Phineas Frakture.
You're listening to Big World Network.